Alright, so in this video I'm going to teach you how to make a tool on Fusion 360 and everything, just the basics I guess. So right here I have in my hand a 3-flute, 1/2-inch high-speed steel end mill from Tormach. You can see because of these lines right here, that's a roughing end mill. And so on my Fusion 360, I think I used this guy for my roughing. So when machining, you always want to do a roughing pass with the biggest mill that you can to remove the most material quickly, and use something like a finish mill at the end so you're good. So for this, when you go into Fusion, you have to select the tool that you're using. I'm going to create a new tool. I already have it all set up, but I'm going to create a new tool. So I'm going to hit this plus right here. It's going to ask you what kind you want. So this is a flat end mill, as you can see. So we're going to click that. Description, just call it 1/2 flat, 1/2 3-flute, flat end mill. For your cutter, number of flutes, 3, obviously. 1, 2, 3. And then this doesn't really matter. Your diameter matters, so 0.5, so it's a 1/2 inch. Shaft diameter doesn't matter. Overall length doesn't matter. Length below holder, it kind of matters. You just have to make sure that your holder isn't ever going to come in contact with your piece. So that doesn't really matter. Shoulder length and flute length actually does matter. Flute length matters. Okay. All that stuff does. So the only things that really matter are diameter and number of flutes and the type of end mill, obviously. Everything else is kind of just irrelevant. It doesn't have anything in the... Yeah. And then shaft and holder don't matter. Cutting data is what matters. So right now, the mill is set up for its high range. So that's 5,000 to 10,000 RPM. So we're going to say 9,000 RPM. And then you don't have to worry about surface speed. Cutting feed rate, you don't have to worry about. What you have to worry about is feed per tooth. So depending on the mill that you use, the end mill that you use, for aluminum, you're going to want a feed per tooth of about 0.001 to 0.0025. So like for this, I'd run 0.002 inches all day, no problem. And as you can see, the feed rate changes as you change that. Ramp feed rate doesn't really matter. Plunge doesn't matter. You can use these down here, step over, but I typically don't. You just want to say your max step over is going to be we'll say 2.5. But when choosing your feed per tooth, it really matters on what cutter. So this right here is an 1/8 inch 2-flute, and you just can't put the same load on this tiny bit as you put on this big bit. So this one, for an 1/8 inch, I'd recommend 0.001 at the max. Less than that. The problem is, if you go too small, then you're just going to be making heat and not actually cutting. So you have to be above a certain amount, but below a certain amount. But I wouldn't worry too much about being too low ever, because the smaller that you put, it just means you're going to have a longer program and the cuts are going to be lighter, which is always better for the tool length or tool life. And then for post processor, this is what you enter for the number that is associated with this tool. So like in the mill right now, this tool is tool number 4. That's what it knows that this length of. So we're gonna put tool number 4, enter, and that should be everything that you need. And then you just hit accept in this bottom corner, accept it, and now you have a new tool in your library. Then you select the tool. It's gonna have to regenerate the toolpath, and it's all good. So I think that's everything you need to know about making tools and putting them in your tool library. One thing that Fusion 360 has the capability of is having pretty much every tool ever and making a library out of that. But I don't do that personally because it's just time consuming for no reason. Because it takes literally a minute to enter a tool once you get used to it. And so yeah, just make tools as you go, I say.